Heyo and happy Halloween, gang. Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. SmackDown Live doesn't always get things right, but when they do so in phenomenal fashion, and we are here to talk about it right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's SmackDown Live review. Let's do it. Ha ha ha.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
All right, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. This review is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering you guys a free 30-day trial and one free audiobook to the fans of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show just for trying out their service. Over 180,000 titles to choose from. All you have to do is go to audibletrial.com/sledgehammertv to sign up right now. Absolutely free. Won't cost you a dime. That's audibletrial.com/sledgehammertv for your free audiobook and 30-day free trial. SmackDown Live tonight definitely treated us way better than Monday Night Raw did last night. Getting back to business as usual on the Blue brand, bring things up to a little bit of another level on this evening's show. The last couple of weeks for SmackDown Live has been absolutely horrendous, but the differences between Raw and SmackDown Live this week can be easily shown to you guys by explaining the whole Crown Jewel bullshit situation that has arisen. All week long, it's been all over the dirt sheets, all over the news. John Cena and Daniel Bryan both want nothing to do with the Crown Jewel show. We know what they did on Monday Night Raw for John Cena. They had him replaced by a man who lost last week to Finn Balor cleanly, and then lost this week to Finn Balor by disqualification. That's how Bobby Trashley, qualified for the World Cup by losing 2 weeks in a row. Fantastic. That is Raw style booking. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have tonight's episode of SmackDown Live, where Daniel Bryan wants nothing to do with it. He is not in the World Cup, but he is in the Heavyweight Championship match. A very high-profile match, a very highly anticipated match by the WWE Universe. So what does the WWE do for SmackDown? They give us that match on this very night to kick off the show in a fantastic fashion, and we will get to the matchup in and of itself in a minute. But for the match to end the way it did and have Samoa Joe insert himself into the equation and end up being placed opposite AJ Styles for the Crown Jewel pay-per-view Friday instead of Daniel Bryan, which is a person that has a long history and a pretty much current feud that has still some unfinished business underneath it, and Samoa Joe making it known tonight that he is not done with AJ Styles and he's not going to allow anybody to beat AJ Styles unless it is the Samoan submission machine. Look at the two comparisons. They are starkly contrasts from one another. One is complete bullshit and the other is good television. You can't tell me I'm wrong. I call it like I see it. You guys come to me for the truth, and the hammerings come down with truth, and sometimes they come down with positivity as well. And I would be lying to you if I didn't tell you that this situation arising with Samoa Joe doesn't have me excited beyond any of my capacity to even... I can't even rein it in. I don't even have the words to describe it to you, because what's looming in the future for Survivor Series with Samoa Joe going up against AJ Styles this Friday? If Samoa Joe wins at the Crown Jewel, and then regardless what Raw does, we've seen him go up against Brock Lesnar already, we've seen him go up against Braun Strowman already, but I think Samoa Joe as the WWE Champion versus Braun Strowman as the Universal Champion is a great match for the interpromotional Survivor Series that they are planning, and I'm all behind that. It would be something new. It would be a battle of beasts that we haven't seen in a while. Samoa Joe hasn't been on Raw since back in the day. They have some sort of a history that they can play off of within the next 3 weeks. It would be great to see them go down that direction and totally throw everybody off. Everybody's thinking, oh, we could see AJ Styles versus Braun Strowman or AJ versus Brock Lesnar once again, and that wouldn't be too bad. AJ versus Brock had a fantastic match, but I don't want to see that again. I would much rather see something like Joe finally getting his comeuppance as the WWE Champion, and then in his first test as WWE Champion, goes up against the Monster Among Men, who himself has finally reached the top of the mountain, and it would be an epic confrontation. So that gets me excited with all that booking going on. But what doesn't really make me excited is it's clear to see that WWE has put Daniel Bryan on their shit list because of his refusal to be involved with the Crown Jewel. John Cena, they can't do nothing to John Cena. The man, you can't see him, right? You can't fucking see him, so they can't touch him. They're not going to be able to punish John Cena. He's bigger than the company at this point, so they're going to target their aggression on Daniel Bryan, much like they did to Triple H back in before the birth of the Attitude Era, when Hall and Nash left the company and they couldn't touch Shawn Michaels because he was the champ and he was the #1 guy, so Triple H ate all the shit, and I think Daniel Bryan's going to take all the shit for what he and John Cena are pulling by pulling out of this Crown Jewel show, and that's made evident by this match. If Samoa Joe was going to come out and cause interference, I said it on Twitter about 20 minutes before it went down. I said it would be great to see Samoa Joe come out, cause a no contest, attack both guys, have the match thrown out. Daniel Bryan doesn't have to lose. AJ Styles can then be moved back to Samoa Joe for the Crown Jewel, and everybody wins. But Daniel Bryan lost. And not only did he lose, he lost clean and tapped out to AJ Styles to kick off SmackDown Live tonight. And you can't tell me that's not some form of punishment. There was no reason, if you were going to have outside involvement following the match, that you couldn't have done it during the match and keep everybody's image squeaky clean. But this is what I believe only the beginning of a trail of hog pen matches and bullshit scenarios that poor Daniel Bryan is going to find himself taking the brunt of all of this, thanks to himself and his former brother-in-law, so to speak, Mr. John Cena, for this Crown Jewel bullshit show. Now, this go-home show was tremendously better than Monday Night Raw's efforts to getting you guys excited, because, as I just pointed out to you, what they did alone with the WWE Championship was good enough. And I'm happy with that. What I'm not happy about is the amount of talent that was not showcased on the show. Now, I'm going to read off a list to you guys here, and not everybody deserves to be on this show, but we had no Rusev tonight. We had no Sanity. We had no Andrade Cien Almas. We didn't see any Shelton Benjamin. Gallows and Anderson have been missing for months, so God knows where they are. They had nothing for Aiden English to do, so everything we've seen with him for the last couple of months has just been thrown into the shitter. And we had no Usos tonight. That's all the people that off the top of my head I could list on the male side that were not used tonight, that are not really being used at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view either. But why are we not using Rusev? Rusev is coming off one of the biggest storylines he's had in recent memory, and he beat Aiden English, and now it's done, and now he goes back to the shit list again? Why was there nowhere for Rusev to be involved? I don't understand. I don't understand why we still haven't seen Sanity for the last couple of months. What are they doing with them? Why is Andrade Cien Almas being pushed away? You got Rey Mysterio on the roster. I'm waiting for them to clash. You should be at least teasing that. Have them bumping into each other in the back. Have Zelina Vega show up and get in Rey Mysterio's face. Oh, you think you're here? You're going to take my man's spotlight? I don't think so. He's the superstar from Mexico around here. Whatever you want to do, make it interesting. But they didn't have any time for any of that. They gave AJ and Daniel Bryan 30 minutes, and then we had to see a trick or street fight. Now, yeah, okay, was it fun? Sure, it was great to hear the Brood's theme music again. That gave me chills, man. Just hearing the Brood's theme and the whole bam, 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 bam. And I, for a minute, just for a second, thought that the WWE was going to be cool and have the Brood come out on the night before Halloween for SmackDown Live for whatever reason. I said that would be a cool way to do this trick-or-treat fight. Have them out there at the New Day's pancake table, drinking blood and spitting at each other. Edge can have a good time, do whatever they want to do. And then maybe have a bloodbath at the end of the trick-or-treat fight for everybody. Some kind of a callback to the old days that I wouldn't mind seeing. Because it's not Edge and Christian in the ring wrestling when they shouldn't be. It's them doing this fun, New Day comedy gimmick thing. At least make it interesting, make it unique. And I think that would have been perfect for Halloween. But instead, we got the New Day coming out dressed up as the Brood. We had Xavier Woods as Edge, Big E was Gangrel, and Kofi Kingston was Christian. And I did enjoy them doing the whole thing, spitting the blood and playing the gimmick up for all it's worth. I even chuckled mildly at the stupid people laying on the floor in the black suits with the little red lights simulating a circle of fire, which was just absolutely poorly executed. That was a terrible idea. They could have at least tried better to make it look like something. I know they can't do the pyro, or they don't want to do the pyro anymore, but it was worth the effort. It was worth the chuckle. Right? And then we had zombie Sheamus coming out with Cesaro, who seems to be fine. I guess he's the zombie hunter, and then Sheamus was the zombie, and then you got the Big Show coming out. Nobody wants to see him. He should have dressed up as something else so that we didn't have to see the Big Show. Wish he would have dressed up as like Andre the Giant or something. I don't want to see the Big Show. Nobody wants to see the Big Show. Just like I didn't really want to see this trick-or-treat fight. Because every year they do this shit. We're going to see it in a couple of more weeks. We're going to have the fucking Thanksgiving food fight. It's just a bunch of just nonsense. Nonsense. And the reason why I brought up the list of people that were not used tonight is because of this one particular match. You couldn't have given me a Rusev versus Shelton Benjamin tonight, or Andrade versus Shelton Benjamin, or any of the combination of any of the names that I just mentioned. Even in a tag team scenario, start building up a tag team division. Why weren't the Usos on tonight's show when they just defeated the two biggest stars on SmackDown Live in 2 consecutive weeks in a row? But we're not going to move on to that, because the one other thing that we got to complain about before we get into what was good about tonight's show is there was no women's match on this show. And sure, maybe you don't have to have a women's match on every single show, right? But this is the show that's supposed to be having the fallout from Evolution. And all you got is a promo spot for Becky, a dance-off for Carmella, and 2 minutes for Charlotte Flair. And no room on the night for anybody else. Let's go down this list. You had Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. You had Asuka, Lana, Mandy, Maria Kanellis, Sonya Deville, Zelina Vega. Every single one of these women took part in that ridiculous battle royal, and you didn't have anything for any of them on this night. One matchup for 2 of these individuals. Asuka versus Zelina Vega. Maybe have Asuka start to rebuild her momentum in some way. That maybe was a terrible match to make. I'm just trying to read off the list. Nobody really cares to see Mandy or Lana or Sonya Deville. But to not see Asuka, maybe have Asuka make the turn, be bad, be a heel, and then we can get things like Asuka versus Naomi. And that would be worth watching. Maria Kanellis can come back and be in the friggin' Battle Royal, but she can't come back to the main roster and compete. She keeps talking shit about wanting to be part of it. So do something. I think it's disrespectful for the women. 8 women on this night not used. And all we got to hear was that fucking song. Please let that song die. That Salute song has been playing in my head while I'm at work, while I'm taking a shit, while I'm in the shower, while I'm eating dinner, while I'm constructing my Wreck-It Ralph costume for tomorrow. All I hear is Salute. And I can't. I hope that show dies. That song dies a horrible death. absolutely tragic to be looped in my head, and I just can't rattle it out. I can hit myself in the head with Thor 1,000,000 times. I'm not going to lose that song, and I wish to God they never used it. It's the bane of my existence right now. And every time they show highlights or whatever, we're going to have to hear it. Attention! The fuck out of here. What have I been telling you guys about R-Truth? You take a look at what we got from R-Truth tonight, and you can't tell me I'm wrong. This man, no matter who they put him in the ring with, has a great match with anybody. Tonight he had a non-title matchup against Shinsuke Nakamura, and the guy looked like a 25-year-old rookie ready to break out. I don't understand how he continues to defy logic and defy the laws of aging. How he gets his body to move the way it does rivals anybody else in his age group doing what they're doing in the WWE right now. I'm bitching and moaning to you guys last night about the 50-year-old bar fighters who can barely throw a punch closing Monday Night Raw. And then you got tonight R-Truth, who's just like a half step behind them age-wise, is just almost still in his prime. Maybe it's because they never let him do anything, so his body's in physical condition. He's not taking bumps. He's not doing anything as much as he should, so he's ready to go. And R-Truth's match with Shinsuke Nakamura tonight was great. He botched the ending a little bit. He shouldn't have been standing on his feet before the Kinshasa. You know, a little hammering for the truth, because that's what I bring to you guys. I tell it like it is. I call it like I see it. And that's what you guys appreciate the most. But you can't tell me that you couldn't get behind R-Truth. I didn't even mind the fucking dance-off. All right? Because R-Truth's wrestling is that good that you want to throw that in there. Fine, whatever. They danced for about 4 or 5 seconds, and then it was over and back to business we went. I get it. It's a fun little thing, but you gotta feel bad for Carmella, right? This is the woman who they pushed as the WWE SmackDown Live Women's Champion. She beat Charlotte twice. She beat Asuka twice, and now she's eye candy once again. She's a modern-day diva. She's just out there doing dance moves. They don't even have her doing matches anymore. And that goes back to what I said. No women's match on this night. You could have had Carmella taking on Asuka once again. Have Asuka get her win back over Carmella. There's something better than what I was coming up with. I knew it would come eventually. But instead, we get the dance-off in the middle of what was a very good match. So on one hand, I appreciate it for what it is. And on the second, it wasn't really necessary now, was it? Charlotte Flair, while we're still talking about some lady stuff, refused the captain's position offered to her by the general manager, Paige. She said, Charlotte, you were the best, still even though you lost, and I want to have tea time with you and make you the tea captain of the SmackDown team. That's not at all what she said, but mildly translated into regular English, she told Charlotte Flair that despite losing at Evolution, she still feels that she should be the captain of the SmackDown Live women's team coming up for Survivor Series. And the fact that they're even building this thing starting this week, or just hinting at the fact that Paige is going to actually put some thought into it and is already starting to make plans for her teams, makes me happy inside. And the fact that Charlotte Flair refused leaves some intrigue. You would have automatically assumed that the Queen's just going to sit on top of the table. Oh, sure, absolutely, I don't mind, I'm the Queen. But now Charlotte's feeling some type of way. And you could see it in her eyes. And I enjoyed it. It's a different path that we could explore for Charlotte Flair. Is she or isn't she going to take the captainship of the team? Who's going to want to step up and be captain? Is there going to be some heat involved in getting to the captainship? Is it going to be Asuka versus Charlotte to captain this team? But if Charlotte has no desire to and needs to find that fire within herself after being so down on losing to Becky Lynch, it's going to be a very interesting 3 weeks of build, at least regarding the Survivor Series matchups, which are my favorite matches to watch at Survivor Series. I appreciate the interpromotional champion versus champion match just as the next guy, but I'm an old school guy and I would love to see multiple 5 and 4-on-4 matchups for one night of the year elimination style, the way it used to be, and then maybe finish it off with an ultimate matchup where all the survivors team up for one grand finale survival match, which they've done a couple of times in the past as well. And that's the Survivor Series to me. But if you're not going to do that, brand warfare is fine. We all know it's not the one night of the year that they compete against each other, or else the Royal Rumble wouldn't count. Interpromotional matches at WrestleMania wouldn't count, and so on and so forth. But I appreciate the effort. And Becky Lynch tonight is the man. And she makes no bones about that as well. And I loved her promo tonight. It was short and sweet and to the point. And it starts us off on an interesting road that I'm excited about for once, which is Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, as she just threw Ronda Rousey pretty much under the bus tonight on SmackDown Live with some very, very big words. So on the one hand, the show was entertaining. It took some right steps in the right direction, and I did enjoy a majority of the show. But as I just pointed out, there are so many things wrong still with what's happening on SmackDown Live. But you can't tell me this was not a good show. It absolutely had its problems. But you enjoyed yourself tonight. We had good matches tonight. Yeah, we didn't have a women's match. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of these faces show up. But this was a good, decent effort from SmackDown Live. From the beginning right down to the end, where we had RKOs for everybody. And Randy Orton standing tall amongst the entire field of competitors for this Friday's World Cup tournament. I enjoyed SmackDown. I enjoyed it. But of course, we have to start off this show, as always, bringing the hammer down, telling you guys the little bits and pieces that you can't be blind to. It's my job to keep you guys informed and to make sure that you are not blind to some of the bullshit that is going on this show. And that is why you trust me, and that is why I love you. Every single time we sit here to talk about wrestling, and I see your comments in the comments section down below, I have the best, most smartest fans, most respectful fans in the world, and I look forward to interacting with you as this show concludes on this evening. We're so close to that 1K, you guys. If you are not subscribed to this channel by now, you got to hit that subscribe button right now. We are about to launch and start to take over the world, because Sledgehammer TV is the place to be for all of your professional wrestling needs. And do not forget to get in on that Audible trial. Get that free audiobook, man, and then tell me which one it is. I want to know what books you're listening to. See if I have it in my Audible collection. A lot of great wrestling books on there. I personally have a couple of Star Wars books as well. If you're a big sci-fi fan, get in on that shit, man. audibletrial.com/SledgehammerTV. Doesn't cost you 1 cent. All you got to do is type some stuff in there. It doesn't cost you a dime. Cancel your subscription before the 30 days is up. You will not be charged a thing, and you can keep that book. How much better do you get than that? Let's go down the official card. WWE Champion AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan kicked things off, as we talked about briefly in the beginning. AJ Styles defeats Daniel Bryan, and Samoa Joe attacks following. AJ Styles locked in the calf crusher for the submission victory over Daniel Bryan. After the match, Bryan and Styles hugged in the middle of the ring when suddenly Samoa Joe ran in, shoved Styles into Daniel Bryan. Bryan fell down to the floor, and then Samoa Joe attacked AJ Styles, locking in the coquina clutch, and Daniel Bryan tried to jump in for the save, but Samoa Joe would attack that very, very badly injured knee that was worked on by AJ Styles throughout the entirety of the matchup. He locked the coquina clutch in on Daniel Bryan until he passed out from the pain, and then stood over the two of them, holding the belt over his head. Absolutely fantastic way to kick this show off and get me how could you get me more interested than AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan? You give me the AJ versus Samoa Joe rematch. And that's what we're getting, and it's going to be great. And I'm pulling harder now, more than ever, for Samoa Joe, because if it doesn't happen on Friday, then it probably never will for the Samoan submission machine. And let's hope that that's not the case, because as much as I love the phenomenal AJ Styles and have been enjoying his championship run here and there, I feel like it's time to change it up just a little bit. He can have it back by the Royal Rumble if you want to lead into WrestleMania with AJ as the champ again, but it's time for Samoa Joe to be the champ. Get his first reign in, so then now he can continue to rack up the championships. If he doesn't get it now, it won't feel right by the time he really does get it. And I think this is the time to pull the trigger. They can't miss it. We just talked about Paige offering Charlotte Flair the captain's position. The fans still booing Charlotte Flair in the crowd. She congratulated her, Paige, that is, congratulated Flair on her match at Evolution despite losing. Paige asked Flair to be the team captain. Flair turned it down because she doesn't feel like the right person for the job, and Paige pleaded for her to reconsider, but there is still that hanging in the air of will she, won't she, and it'll be interesting to see. Big E defeated Cesaro in the Trick or Street fight, which was everything you expected it to be. Pumpkins getting smashed around. Big Show out there lumbering around like a big piece of wood, delivering double choke slams and whatnot. Just a whole bunch of nonsense. Sheamus looked ridiculous. Ghoul Sheamus, zombie Sheamus, whatever you want to call him. But this was what it was. It was entertaining as it could be, but I definitely wasn't really interested. The United States Champion Shinsuke Nakamura defeated R-Truth in a non-title matchup, which was great for R-Truth. Becky Lynch discussed her upcoming match with Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey. She noted that Becky Lynch says, "I'm not here to cosplay or to talk about reality TV shows." She said, "Ronda Rousey, ever since you showed up, you haven't faced anybody. You haven't faced anybody worth a damn." And she promises she's going to walk into Survivor Series and rip the arm off of the former UFC two-time champion. And that's pretty big words from big bad Becky Lynch in her "I Am the Man" t-shirt. She said, "I beat Charlotte Flair, which makes me the man." Great. I just loved every minute of this promo. And just like all of you guys have been telling me, and I'm going to just come around and say it right now, heel Becky Lynch is the way they're going with this thing. It doesn't matter whether the fans cheer or boo. You want to go against the grain, that's fine. I don't see it that way. You know, we're all fans. You like who you like. You boo who you don't like. It's absolutely possible for people to like a villain. All I do is like villains, and I'm actually starting to enjoy Becky Lynch the more she seemingly is embracing it. Her performance is way better on that side of the spectrum. And I could still be a fan and cheer. And she could be my babyface. And the WWE can write her how she wants. I think tonight's promo proves that in spades. She's got it. No matter which direction you feel they're placing her in, doesn't really matter. The girl went out there and gave the best promo of her life. She's about to set up for the program of her life. Probably the most high-profile match she's ever had, ever, at one of the big 5 pay-per-views. That's a win for Becky Lynch. So we all have to get on board. It's going to be a fun ride. And then we had the tag team matchup for the World Cup competitors. Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy taking on The Miz and Randy Orton. This was a good match. Look at the caliber of talent you have in here. The only problem with this match is that it comes straight out of 2005. Once again, the main event of a WWE show in 2018 is in the ring full of people that were here at least 10 years ago, if not more. You don't see a little bit of a problem with that. Why the WWE Championship couldn't have ended this show and then have them just announce the change to the Crown Jewel right before we went off the air? What would have been the difference? You needed to have all night to tell everybody that Samoa Joe replaced Daniel Bryan? You didn't really mention it all that much anyway. You talked about it maybe one more time before the show ended within the 2 hours of a SmackDown Live. So why didn't you just end the show with that match? You could have started the show with the announcement of the match by Shane McMahon, which is another thing I don't agree with. once again based off of Evolution, right? You got the commissioner, Shane McMahon, coming back and just taking Paige's spotlight. Shouldn't the GM have been the one to come out and make that announcement? It just seems a little bit off-putting to me. I look at things a little bit deeper than most, and I think that Paige being the GM and doing a fucking bang-up job over the last couple of weeks, having that moment be stepped on pretty much by a returning male Shane McMahon, stealing the spotlight of the authority figure. For what reason? I don't know. We only need one authority, and I think Paige was doing fucking great. You don't need Shane McMahon coming around cramping her style. Would have much rather seen her come out, "Oh, Daniel Bryan and AJ, this is fantastic, and I want to eat cookies and drink my tea in the back while you guys wrestle it out for the SmackDown Live," whatever, you know, I would have enjoyed it much better than, "Here comes the money, yeah, I'm back, and I'm a McMahon, and this is what I'm going to say, we say this, and blah, blah, blah." That might be just me. I don't know. But for the most part, this show was enjoyable. Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy defeated The Miz and Randy Orton in that very good match. But that's not the story. By this time all was said and done, Randy Orton hit everybody and their mama with an RKO and then hit the top of the second rope doing his Randy Orton pose, making his very best Dean Ambrose-inspired faces on the top rope because he's the Viper and he's as crazy as Dean, I guess. But it was a nice way to end off the show. Much better than last night. 110%, hands down, SmackDown Live killed it this week. Absolutely killed it in comparison to that fucking red retardation that we sit through every single Monday night. Thank you guys, as always, for being here with me once again on this night. Hit that subscribe button if you have not subscribed yet. We are on the march to 1K, and it starts with an awesome wrestling fan like you. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Make sure your notifications are enabled so every time an awesome wrestling video like this one drops, you will be notified. Make sure you're smashing down on that like button with your sledgehammers at home, especially if you enjoyed today's show at 31 minutes. If you are still here, make sure to do that. And also share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they enjoyed the shit out of that WWE Championship match tonight like we did. I want to know their thoughts. Drop them down in the comments section below, just like I want to know your thoughts, because I am not here at all if it's not for the 900 plus awesome sledgeheads that fill up the club known as the Sledgehammer Club. You guys, it's been a crazy week. We still have the prediction show for Crown Jewels, and then, of course, the review of the show immediately following. After it, Friday afternoon here in the States, or on the East Coast, rather, at 12 p.m., check your local listings on the WWE Network for when it's going to be airing in your region of the world. And something new we've been doing, have been premiering episodes, and I think it's something we're going to do with every single pay-per-view. And that means that the video will air live. It's not going to be recording live. It's going to be recorded and then air to you guys live. And then I will be there to watch it with you, and we could all sit there in the chat room and talk about this show and that show and whatever show, and you can tell me what you're making for dinner, what you dressed up as for Halloween. That's all I want to do, is interact with you guys, and that's a great way we can do that going forward. So expect to be there with me at the premiere of the Crown Jewels review and results show Friday afternoon, probably somewhere around 4 or 5 p.m. So make sure you have your notifications enabled and that reminder set, because I will be there, and I hope you will be too. Don't forget to check out the subscription box showdown before the month is up. Help me choose this month's winner. Check out last night's Raw review, which was absolute fire. I was not holding back as the hammer dropped harder than maybe ever before on a Monday Night Raw. And then, of course, the Evolution review and results show, which was a lot of fun. My show, not Evolution. Evolution had 3 great matchups, and the rest was inconsequential. You want to know the rest of my thoughts on it? Click that link in the video to check out the Evolution video as well. Make sure you like everything that you watch, and please, please, if you enjoyed yourself, consider subscribing right now. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is my team, Thor the Sledgehammer, the Wrestling God of Thunder, and the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. And his tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in the entire universe, Mr. Blue, the Snowball microphone. We are so pleased to be with you every single time we sit here to fire up this camera on YouTube, and appreciate it more than you guys will ever know. That is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you next time, Friday afternoon, right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV. Get your free audio book.